Well, what do those United States-China trade relations mean for Europe? Hosuk Lee-Makiyama is director of the European Centre for International Political Economy. Hosuk, welcome back. Good to see you. What do you make of the meeting between Presidents Xi and Trump?
Good to be back, Jamie. Well, it was actually pretty much expected. What the chatter has been around trade negotiators and amongst the ministers. Was pretty much expected. And we are probably likely to see more incremental scale down of some of the measures that have been taken against each other in the coming months to come. But most important part of this deal is that China is going to postpone its export controls on critical raw materials and other strategic items, including chips, for at least a year.
European leaders were presumably staying up late with their notebooks, watching what was happening. How should this meeting be seen in Europe?
Well, you can look at it from two ways. I mean, first of all, the Chinese export controls actually apply to all the countries, which basically means that Europe will be able to free ride on this deal. So they don't actually have to negotiate with China. On the other hand, there's also this aspect that Europe has been negotiating and complaining to the Chinese counterparts now for several months since the summit in July, and with no effect. So that basically means that actually nothing actually happens until United States speak. So obviously that's not great for European prestige at all.
What about the timing of all this? I mean, what can you say about the timing and the wider landscape, the wider backdrop of this meeting?
Well, APEC this year taking place in Korea is a very interesting phenomenon because it's actually one of those summitries that doesn't actually have that much content. But it presents a great opportunity for world leaders to meet. And because the agenda is not so heavy, and actually it's one of those global summits that excludes Europe and Africa and a couple of other places around the world which focus on the Indo-Pacific. That means that you would have actually China, United States, Japan, but also Russia around the table. So it's a great opportunity for people to run into each other, and it's actually made for side deals. And the greater backdrop of this, I think, is that we are now reaching the peak of the trade wars, and we will see perhaps a new equilibrium, if you like, where there is a better balance between the different powers when they have introduced enough measures to understand that some of these have to come off.
You're a veteran watcher of geopolitics. We've seen years of the established global trade dynamics challenged by a number of disruptions. You think of COVID, these trade wars, a number of real wars. I wonder how are trade relations evolving in the light of that, and how should we all best adapt?
Well, I think the United States, first and foremost, have actually reacted to a number of developments. The fallouts in the World Trade Organization, and that trade is not really equitable, and they have taken extraordinary measures that has been quite distasteful in the views of the international community. But the underlying problems that they identified is something that is actually a global common that a number of world powers, including China, Europe, is also recognized. They may not go towards China first or Europe first, but they have to find a solution on how to make the world trade work for them and find a different way of tackling these issues than what the United States have done. So I think what we will see now is a big rethink around the multilateral organizations and with the role that trade and what that brings to the legitimacy of our governments.
Hosuk, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on the show again. Hosuk Lee-Makiyama, Director of the European Centre for International Political Economy.